So this vehicle has the variable compression turbocharged engine, and it feels like it surges sometimes. Like it feels like a little weak, and then it surges, and then as the RPMs come down, it feels like it's weak again. Now that's partially the turbocharger, turbo lag, and then it kind of kicks in the higher the RPMs are. But also it has that CVT experience, so you know it has a little bit of a surprising acceleration sometimes, you know. Just kind of accelerate a little bit here. And I was actually kind of pleasantly surprised at the amount of power this vehicle has. I thought it was going to be like a real weak, you know, weak acceleration and all that stuff, but no, this actually has some power when you need it. It's in that, you know, normal driving range, you know. If you really floor it, then you can feel the diminishing returns. It's not as impressive, but when you're in the normal driving range, as you're driving it normally, and you're not trying to just floor it and go accelerate real fast from a standstill, it has a good driving experience as far as that goes. Passing on the highway, no, not really a problem. You know, merging in the traffic, that kind of thing, it's fine. It's not like a super fast vehicle or anything, but it's certainly faster than I thought it was going to be. So kind of glad about that. It's just I kind of get used to right where the sweet spot is as far as the RPM range for the acceleration. It's like any vehicle, it has this little idiosyncrasies that you have to get used to. You know, you get just like blind spots. Speaking of that, this mirror over here seems a little bit too wide. There's just too much chunk on either side, and it just kind of sometimes gets in the way as far as visibility a little bit. Especially like if there's a road or some kind of thing that I have to look at that direction, it's kind of fills in from the pillar out instead of having that little space right in here. And so it's kind of hard, sometimes kind of hard to look around it. You have to kind of look over it or something like that, depending on how your seat position is and all that stuff. It's not a huge deal. It's not as bad as the Toyota Tundra tow mirrors. Those are like ridiculous. But yeah, it's just a little bit, there's a couple times where I'm like, man, you know, it was kind of getting in the way, and I'm like, this could have been a little space right in here a little bit more, so you can see, because you can see it's kind of chunky right there, and it has like this flare on the other side. I don't know if that's for aerodynamics, most likely, but it does a little bit of an issue. So yeah, zipping around in this vehicle is actually fairly decent. It's got comfortable seats, and it has you can hear the road a little bit, you can hear some wind noise. It's not super quiet. The suspension is decent. It's not like, you know, excellent or amazing or anything, but it's just a nice driving. You just kind of zip around. You can zip around town easy. It's easy to steer. Has good braking. Pretty solid feeling. It doesn't have any torque steer. The torque steer is non-existent. That's one positive thing. I haven't felt any torque steer whatsoever. It feels like a rear-wheel drive vehicle a lot of times when you accelerate, when you're turning. Like I just did, you have that little bit of acceleration, especially when you really push it. Vehicles that have torque steers, just like the Nissan Leaf, it has a lot of torque steer because it's front-wheel drive, electric, and all that stuff. And you have to kind of really hold on to the steering wheel when you accelerate because it wants to go all over the place. This one's more linear and accelerates no problem in a straight line right where you want it to go, so it's not a big deal. Okay, so the cruise control, once it sees the lines, it does a pretty decent job of firmly holding the lane, you know, and you do have to hold the steering wheel, so it'll remind you of that. But just to show you how well it does it is pretty sharp and stays in the middle of the lane. You know, some vehicles have like a lane keep assist system where it kind of bounces around or wanders a little bit. This one's pretty solid, stays in the lane good, but it's kind of picky. Like it wants to stay in a certain spot, and so it kind of fights with you a little bit. So that's the only thing about the more firm the system is, the more it kind of fights with you. You know, some vehicles kind of have more leeway. This one's like, it has to be in this very particular spot in the lane, and as you're holding the steering wheel, you better, you know, it wants to stay there, so it fights with you a little bit. But as long as you're holding the steering wheel and you get used to the system, it's fine. It's good. Kind of cruising on the highway. The lane keep assist system is good. The adaptive cruise control, once you set the distance, which you can very easily adjust on the fly with this button here, it's fine. Has a safe distance and haven't felt, you know, overly close to other vehicles or too far away or anything like that. And the heads-up display is good. Like, it shows me digital speedometer, which doesn't have down here. It also shows me what my cruise control set at, whether it sees the lines, which it shows the little green steering wheel up there as well as down here. Whatever the last speed limit sign was, which right now is 55. And that's handy. You know, sometimes you're in a spot, they're like, you might have missed the speed limit sign. You're like, where am I? You don't know where, like a new area or whatever. And you're like, well, I know what the speed limit is. Hopefully there's no cop up here, because I might be going over it, because I don't know. But having that certainty with that, showing you what the last speed limit sign was, that helps out a lot. When I drive vehicles that doesn't have that speed limit sign, it sometimes like kind of miss it. So kind of got used to that. Now, it has kind of simulated gears. I don't know if you noticed that. The gear ratio kind of, with the CVT transmission, it kind of simulates gear shifts and stuff like that. And that's been a thing for a while now. I prefer just do the normal CVT thing. It's more efficient that way anyway, instead of trying to give you some you know, different feel. But it's just the way it is. It's not a big deal or anything, but I'm gonna mention. So yeah, I mean, as far as like just a regular car to drive around with your family, and it looks good and it's comfortable and everything, a little bit of, you know, dated technology over here, but other than that, it seems like especially if you get a good deal on it, you know, this is a good option. And of course, you know, this is on the higher end of the trim level. There's different trim levels you can get, different prices and stuff, and what's available, different colors and all that. But yeah, pretty impressed with it so far. It's not as like the acceleration and all that stuff I thought was going to be disappointing, but that turned out to be a plus. So let me know what you think in the comments. Kind of interesting color combinations going on here, and also the dated technology. You know, it just reminds me of 2014, 2015 Nissan, basically a lot of it. But and this is the premium brand, the INFINITI. So is that a big deal? Maybe some people it is. Let me know in the comments what you think about it, and I'll see you guys next time.